From statues that look strangely like aliens to ancient artifacts people still can't understand how they were made to this day. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button to become part of the DTR family and that little bell icon so that you are notified when we post new videos. Number 10. 7,000-year-old granite statue. Currently displayed at the Archaeological Museum of Greece is a 14-inch mysterious statue. The unusual thing about it is that it's carved out of a single granite piece, and researchers estimate that it's about 7,000 years old. The fact that at that time there weren't tools that could carve out granite with a similar level of precision back then just adds to the mystery. Its oddities don't end there because the statue also seems to look like a bird-like person. There are endless theories about what the figure symbolized back in the Neolithic society. Naturally, a bird-like entity actually existing tops the list, and some have even tossed the idea that it could have depicted a pregnant woman. However, the statue lacks any features that can conclusively identify it as a male or female figure. Some theories suggest that the sculpture is unfinished, but the high level of polish says otherwise. As researchers keep trying to figure out what it symbolizes, you just have to imagine what action figures and Barbie dolls would say about us several decades into the future. Number 9. Ancient DOGU figurines. The Jomon culture, describing the early Japanese history between 14,000 to 4000 BCE, had figurines that looked much like humans and animals. Archaeological scholars believe that despite their numerous functions, the figures were possible evidence of shamanic rites and early religious culture. The statuettes underwent many transformations going into the Middle Japanese history, and their production also increased significantly during this time. The DOGU figures depict 4 groups of objects, including the heart shape, goggle-eyed, pregnant woman, and horned owl variations. The goggle-eyed types have enormous eyes covering most of their face, and all the forms had female anatomical features suggesting that they were all women. Viewer comment time! We love when you guys leave us comments, and for today's video, we are giving a big shout out to Jeannie Nilsson, who commented on our video Friendliest Sharks in the Ocean. Thanks for commenting, Jeannie. Number 8. 11,000-year-old Siberian statue. Gold prospectors digging near the Russian city of Yekaterinburg in 1894 discovered a 5-meter-long wooden statue. The smoothened plank had carvings on its front and back with distinct, recognizable human facial features, a head and hands, as well as other mysterious details. Its mouth opened to an O, and it also had some zigzag line markings. The statue found its way to the Yekaterinburg Museum, where it stayed on display for more than a century. Initially, assumptions were that the statue could have been a couple of thousands of years old. Further research revealed that a single larchwood log was used to craft the figure about 11,600 years ago. That makes it amongst the world's oldest monumental art, and it also has been linked to the stone sculptures of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Mikhail Zili, an archaeologist at the Russian Academy of Sciences in Moscow, explained that the symbols might depict forest spirits or demons, while the zigzag lines possibly mark dangerous places. Number 7. NUKU HIVA alien statues. It's agreeable that art is purely subjective when it comes to interpretation, but the statues located in the South Pacific NUKU HIVA Island have a pretty clear meaning. The figures are known as Tehemia Tohu, look like depictions of aliens. While historians might never quite crack the mystery about who created the sculptures, various researchers have attempted to determine whether they are accurate depictions of alien visitors. European explorers arrived on the 130-square-mile French Polynesian island in the 16th century, but historians believe that the Samoans were its first settlers. Perhaps an otherworldly race might have inhabited the island before the Samoans and created the mysterious statues. The sculptures look almost identical, but have two distinctly different appearances. Some look like the famous reptilian alien race also known as the lizard people. The other set of statues look pretty much like the little gray aliens we know. 6. URFA Man. URFA Man, also known as the Balıkesir Eagle statue, is the world's oldest human-sized statue discovered. Turkey's Şanlıurfa Archaeology Museum currently houses the figure, and the statue was found in the Şanlıurfa Old Town section. The URFA Man served as a cult statue, and it's the only one of its kind discovered to date. It's also believed that he had a connection with fertility, much like most other figures from the ancient world. The odd thing about the statue is its unsettling appearance because it doesn't have a mouth and has obsidian-filled eyes. It's thought to have a relation to the eye idol, only that the URFA Man is significantly larger. Psychologist Julian Jaynes believed that eye idols contain the voices of the dead. Some of these statuettes were placed near running water as a way of increasing their vocal power. Number 5. 1,000 Egyptian statues. An ancient cemetery located in the city of Minya near the Nile Valley in Egypt contains a range of family graves and tombs, and archaeologists began excavations around the area in late 2017. They found the tombs of the priests of Thoth, who was the ancient god of wisdom and the moon. One particular tomb had over 1,000 statues, as well as 4 alabaster jars that contained mummified internal organs. The archaeologists also found 40 sarcophagi that they believe belonged to the priest's family members, with some bearing hieroglyphic descriptions. They also discovered more statues that depicted ancient priests, several coffins, and other funeral artifacts in yet another tomb. 4 amulets holding semi-precious stones were also found, and one had the engraved phrase, "Happy New Year." 4. Easter Island's Moai statues. The Moai statues on Easter Island are well considered as the most iconic and mysterious archaeological discoveries. They are the main attraction of the remote and treeless Easter Island in Chile. The ancient Rapa Nui people who inhabited the area between 1300 and 1500 AD carved the statues. In total, 288 Moai statues are standing on stone platforms in different regions of the island. Each of the figures stands at 13 feet tall, and some weigh as much as 80 tons. The Rapa Nui used rocks from dormant volcanoes to carve the massive figures. It's the enormous size of the statues that make them a wonder, because the ancient Rapa Nui people had to have found a way to position and move them around the island. Their D-shaped base is believed to allow the movement of the statues from side to side with the help of very strong ropes. Much more has been discovered about the figures, and a team of UCLA archaeologists who had been studying the Moai for 9 years last year revealed that they might have acted as family gravestones of sorts. Number 3. Terracotta Army. An archaeological team that was excavating a site in Jian, China discovered what's now considered an epic funeral art. However, before the experts stepped in, farmers digging a water well just 0.93 miles from Qin Emperor's tomb stumbled upon the terracotta figures in 1974. The archaeologists called in to investigate the site found thousands of soldier statues made of clay buried near Emperor Qin Shi Huang's tomb. The terracotta army was meant to protect him from the various forces he'd encounter after death. The figures dated back to about 2,200 years ago. Archaeologists also found assortments of real weapons alongside the clay soldiers. Government laborers and local craftsmen manufactured the terracotta army figures in workshops using local materials. They created the different body parts separately before finally piecing them all together. When completed, they placed each statue in the pits in a precise military fashion. The army also occupies different corridors within the 3 of the 4 pits at the site. The 4th pit remains empty, but many other parts of Qin Shi Huang's tomb are yet to be excavated. 2. Mummified monk statue. It's an unnerving thought that all the ancient statues that have been discovered could possibly hide some unsettling secrets of the past. That's what recent studies are beginning to unveil, and the latest is the 1,000-year-old Buddha statue revealed to conceal a mummified monk inside. A scan covered the mummy encased inside a cavity within the figure after a private buyer took it to a restoration expert. It's also still unclear how the statue made its way out of China. Researchers performed a CT scan that revealed the mummy sitting on a bundle of Chinese inscribed cloth. They also found out that the Buddhist monk was called Li Kuan, and they also believe he practiced self-mummification in readiness for the afterlife. The self-mummification process involves going on a special diet as well as drinking poisonous tea. Researchers also think that the mummy might have stayed exposed for worship in the temple for its first 200 years, and it wasn't until the 14th century that its transformation into a statue began. Presently, the figure is at the Budapest National Museum of Natural History. Number 1. Perigii statues. The Utcubamba Valley in Peru is an archaeological site where 8 Chachapoyan statues were discovered by the cliffside. The sarcophagi stand at 2.5 meters tall, and they are constructed of grasses, sticks, and clay. They also spot exaggerated jawlines, and they are painted white with overlaid details on their bodies. All the statues also have yellow ochre and red pigment adornment. Luckily, their inaccessible placement height above a river gorge had a hand in preserving them. An earthquake resulted in one of the 8 figures toppling over in 1928. Radiocarbon dating traced the statues back to the 12th century, about the time of the Inca conquest. Thanks for watching. Coming up next, mysterious tiny mummies and skeletons.
There was an addition to the list of mysterious tiny mummies when a strange tiny skeleton was found in Atacama Desert. This skeleton, named Atta, looked nothing like a human being. It had an elongated skull, a deformed face, 10 ribs, and a body that was only 6 inches in length. After its initial discovery, it was announced